at least try to be good. So yun lang. Hindi naman ako ganun kasama kasi my parents raised me well din
Okay lang
naman.
bro, okay lang
Kaya
bro.
lang,
Yeah.
kaya lang tulad nga ng sinabi ko, marami ka rin kasi matututunan sa
Yeah.
kanya. Parang nga nagkaroon ako ng parang rich dad poor dad moment.
Yeah.
Na I learned from both of my parents. Iba rin yung sa kanya kasi dun sa side ng parents ko iba rin eh. Tapos yung sa kanya iba rin talaga.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it makes perfect sense, diba? Na yung energy, yung dark energy which was driving your rockstar life, you just had to, translate it into more quote-unquote positive energy. So the intensity is there. It's just it got redirected
Yeah.
somewhere else. Now, this is classic Freud, Carl Jung, diba? I mean, I was not necessarily a rock star, but I was, crazy in my own ways when in my younger years. Marami rin ako nakaaway back in the day. And then when people see me like after 10, 20 years, they say, actually, hindi kami surprised. And I say, what do you mean? Like, they say, no, you just redirected whatever energy was there. So I completely relate with what you're saying. And thank you, Kapsat, for also being honest about this on a personal level, how you feel Mayor Magalong was very instrumental. Now, let's do a little bit of a political analysis here, no? Why do you think that do you think that this is the right moment? There's also an element of political moment here. That's why medyo nakiklik si Mayor Magalong. Medyo perhaps there's a vacuum of leadership when it comes to good governance. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. This administration and the previous administration are not necessarily paragons of good governance. I mean, we can argue about competence, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the last time I heard the president or top figure really going hardcore in terms of good governance is either Pinoy or Lenny. In the case of Lenny, I don't know, what she's doing right now since the election was over at the political level, although on the social level, angat po and all of that. So it's essentially Mayor Magalong is now carrying the baton. But at the same time, we know Mayor Magalong had his own big differences with President Aquino, to put it, mildly, right? Very mildly. And he's someone who has had good working relationship with all sides, no? Panoni Digong,
Yes.
he was Digong czar for contact tracing. He had also very good working relationship with attorney Lenny Robredo. Everyone I talked to from different sides, including siguro yung mga favorites mo, tuwan-tuwa rin sila kay Magarong, no? So,
Yeah.
so what's going on here? Is this, do you think, his political moment? Is he filling up a kind of a vacuum of leadership?
Well, I think it's the clamor of the people for positive change.
Right.
And parang ano kasi parang tulad nga ng sinabi mo na it's been a while. It's been a while talaga
yes.
na we see people like this in the political scene.
Right.
Ngayon, it will be a waste din naman kasi if it will not be put to good use.
Yun nga eh.
So people are clamoring for it.
Yeah.
Ngayon, yung sinabi mo na marami siyang pinagsilbihan naman tapos maayos sila. The very reason there, I guess, is because he gets the job done.
Yes.
Yun na malaking differential sa kanya.
Yes.
If he really says something if he really said he will do something, well, he will really do it.
Yeah.
Yung political will ba?
Correct. Tsaka yung husay din, di ba? I mean, you may have all the will in the world, but if you don't know how to get things done, kakalat ka lang, di ba? Sabog, di ba? Which we can, something that we're gonna talk about very shortly. You can see where this conversation is going, right? And I think this is where your contribution is very important as a legal mind and as a legal influencer. Kinakabahan ka ba? Are you worried for mayor? I mean, ako kasi parang whenever someone rises to that kind of prominence, national prominence, it's just inevitable you're gonna make a lot of enemies, no? I mean, we're not gonna name names,
Yes.
but we saw already pushback by some people. Some people in the Congress, hindi naman sila pinangalanan, pero defensive bigla at kung ano-anong sinasabi kay Mayor Magalpa, hindi naman kaya namin sila, di ba? Like, wala naman akong sinaming tao eh. Tapos ngayon biglang na-hurt yung iba dyan. So parang, what's going on here, di ba? Natamaan bigla yung iba. And these are not nobodies. I mean, some of these people contributed to the downfall of the biggest media network in the history of the Philippines. I think people already know what we're talking about here, right? Ano pang bigay natin clues dito, di ba? Are you a little bit worried? I mean, yun nga, kasi, how should I put it? I mean, you and I, we're intense people, di ba? And there are these moments na, there I won't say messianic complex, but there's this moment na you feel, the weight of history is on your shoulders, and you have to really step up, di ba? And I think dun sa Baguio, our educational system, social environment, always give us the strength of conviction and confidence, no, not to oversell ourselves here, di ba? Are you worried na yung mga nagkakaroon ng kalaban, or you're saying no? I mean, Mayor Magalong, his life, he has made so many enemies. This is just
Yeah.
ano lang yan, icing on the cake lang yan. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried. If there is a person who actually can take this kind of heat,
Yeah, it's
I
him.
think it's him. It's him.
Right.
Kasi pag makikita mo yung mga ginawa niya noon, the most shocking thing actually that happened sa akin is yung nangyari sa PNP noon when they were called in the Senate and he was face to face with the chief PNP. Tapos prinangka niya yung chief PNP sa harapan. Well, yun ang sa tingin ko sobrang delikado kasi that's the chief PNP and you're a retared police.
Yes.
Alam mo yun?
I remember that. Yung
People were calling left
Yeah.
and right, nagpapahiram ng ng bullet proof na sasakyan niya. Tapos ganito. Pero he was never worried. Pupunta kami dito, magdi-dinner. Wala siyang bodyguard, kami lang. Buong pamilya, kakain.
Yun nga,
That was
napansin
in the
ko
height of the PNP issue. So he is not worried at all. Wala namang problema kasi he knows he's not doing anything wrong.
And I think that perhaps got the respect of also Digong, no? I think, we can talk about Digong very shortly, no? Speaking of sabog and all of that. Napansin ko, the thing with Digong is, I don't know, based on my own interaction, I think gusto niya even the fact that even if I criticize him, I do it, in a feisty way. I think he just likes feisty people, no? I don't think it's only because, your father-in-law was, had that thing with Pinoy. No, I think it's more than that. I think na-impress si President Duterte sa kanya. But so what you're saying is that your understanding is Mayor Magalong is the right man for the right moment, essentially. That's what you're saying. And as his son-in-law, you feel, he should welcome this, right? Rather than having reservations and all. And you feel that, perhaps the Filipino people should be happy about the rise of these kinds of political figures. I mean, we're not endorsing him for any office per se. We're just saying he is occupying a certain space in the political landscape, right? And that's what we're analyzing here.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Kasi pag titignan mo naman talaga, we need major changes when it comes to like people who we elect as our leaders, di ba?
Right.
Kasi nasanay na tayo sa nasanay tayo talaga sa people who capitalizes on the poor, kahit walang hindi marunong, basta may natulungan, basta magpa-promise sa'yo na tutulungan yung mahihirap, then you're panalo ka na. Diba?
Puso, parang gilas lang, puso. Kahit walang diskarte, kahit walang
Well,
coaching na matino, basta puso lang. Yeah.
Yun din ang sa tingin ko one part of being a Baguio boy din kasi yung parang sinasabi nila na parang yabang-yabang kasi we are pragmatic eh.
Yeah.
Parang marami tayong practical side ng mga bagay-bagay. And we assess actually sa practical side ng mga bagay-bagay. Tapos pag nakikita kasi ng ibang tao yon who actually parang put more weight on their emotions, they cannot understand you. They cannot understand me. Kasi nga, nasasaktan sila to begin with. Eh.
Right,
so when you tell things to them, parang, wala na. They will dismiss you immediately. Kasi nga, nasasaktan na sila eh.
Yeah.
So your opinion or whatever you are saying, even if it's factual or it's the right thing, you're dismissed already because they're hurt. Ganun na.
Yeah. Kapsat, I mean, the other thing I want to say, like, one of the things I realized with Baguio is that, again, I'm not overselling our city. It's just that we have a different environment. I mean, this is an American-built city. The American legacy of egalitarianism is very strong. I mean, almost there's a Protestant ethic to Baguio, in ways that you don't see I mean, in a sense that, kung punta ka sa Baguio, walang feudalismo, no? Your dad could be a doctor, my dad could be an ordinary janitor, but we're still gonna play basketball together. We're still gonna go, play meet each other, I don't know, in Nevada Square or something like that. No, it's very different from.
Tama.
Kaya I don't know about you, but for me, culture shock ang Manila. Like you come here, yung mga konyo have their own world. There's a bar for the
Yeah.
konyos. There's a bar for mga. Alam mo na, yung parang I just felt that's like weird because hindi ganun sa Baguio. I mean, may mga kaibigan tayo na magarang kotse, kami walang kotse. Okay lang, like there's no discrimination.
Yes.
It doesn't. And I felt, and there's a very strong middle class spirit, no, and this kind of a sense of mobilized civil society, middle class. So much more Americanized. I would say mas pidal kasi ang much of the Philippines.
Tama.
Despite our pretensions, I think the Spanish legacy is quite strong. No offense to our Spanish friends. So, yun lang. So that's why I think that explains why Baguio people, when we go to Manila, when we go other places, may kakaiba tayong creed. Let's just call it the Baguio creed, no? I'm not gonna say it's superior, but I'm just saying it's a different creed, no? And I think that also explains yung sensibilities natin and how we respond or how we don't respond to how things are done
Yes.
in a usual way. But I think in a way, that also explains yung rebelde spirit that all of us have because I think all of us are bakit ganun, di ba? Bakit hindi pa pwede maging I know I'm gonna
Yes.
sound like Davao pero why not parang Baguio most of the Philippines, right? Like kung sabi ni Binay, ganito kami sa Makati. Ganito kami sa Baguio. Di ba? Ganito kami sa Baguio, right? I mean, why can't we have it in the rest of the country? Why all of these silos, all of these gated communities, etc. So even though may mga iba nakala nila konyo tayo, actually very Baguio boy tayo, no? If you meet us in person, easy to talk kami. Walang wall, walang ekek, all of this nonsense that I experienced when dealing with the, the posh people here in Manila, no? Now, we can talk about your father-in-law more, and let's not overdo this. Now let's go to the meat of the discussion, no? Now, before we go to Tulfo, we have to talk, or Tulfo brothers. Let's talk about Digong. What is your understanding of Digong's rise to prominence and his legacy, particularly the war on drugs? How do you understand that? Because I mean, you can understand for people like me who have been working in mainstream media, those were not the best 6 years of our lives, right?
Yes.
Just to put it mildly. And in fact, as I always say, kaysa we make it about ourselves, we rather make it about all those victims, right? I know there are a lot of
Yeah.
journalists who try to portray themselves as like they're some sort of Mandela, but they're not, right? I mean, I've been in North Korea, I've been China. Those are real authoritarian countries. So I know some journalists exaggerate, but never mind them. For me, the issue is all those victims of EJKs. And more importantly, yung damage to sa institution natin and this valorization of political will, even if it means violation of rule of law. Let's talk about that because I think that's where you really come into picture, Kapsat.
Well, ako rin naman kasi I have parang on ground na experience when it comes to the effect of the war
Parang
on drugs.
ban advice tayo
Kasi
na on the ground. Okay, let's
I-
go for it. Yeah.
Kasi I handle cases din
Yes,
in relation
yes.
to drugs. Tapos dito sa Taguig may lugar din na talamak talaga yung droga. So many people go to my office for consultations. Tapos syempre pag merong mga kaso tungkol sa droga, they also go to me.
Right.
So I actually felt the effect of what Digong did. To be fair sa kanya, marami rin na naging magandang epekto. Just like in one of the places here in Taguig before na talamak sa droga, hindi makakalabas yung mga tao doon kapag gabi kasi nga ang daming I have regular clients kasi many of them are from Taguig. Hindi nakakalabas yung mga tao doon kasi nga siga na yung mga nagdudurog tsaka yung mga drug pushers tapos yung mga nakagamit. Siga na sila especially pag gabi na. So hindi na sila nakakalabas. Then eventually yung naging linabas ni Digong yung war on drugs niya, yung takot ng mga tao, yung sinasabi niyo na kasi may lumabas na extrajudicial killing, di ba? Sinasabi ni Digong na patayin. Di ba? Patayin. Tapos pag ganito, sige, pag lumaban, patayin niya na agad. So, ang daming nag-a-accuse na na pinapatay na lang para hindi na makatakas, hindi na makapagpiyansa, hindi na dumaan sa judicial system. Parang ganon. So, maraming nagreklamo doon. Pero yung flip side nun, marami rin nagsabi sa akin na dahil doon sa lumabas na may extrajudicial killings, yung mga mayayabang sa amin, sabi niya ganyan, nagtago na. So yun din yung
So you're saying it's a
yung
mixed bag. You're saying it's a mixed bag.
yeah,
It's there's a pros and cons. It's not just a straightforward
yeah.
negative and positive.
Pag ito lang yung tungkol sa tungkol sa pananakot na ginagawa nung
The fear factor.
administration. And
Oo.
yeah, just the let's not go to the truth yet. Kasi of course, if as a lawyer, if it was really an extrajudicial killing that's against the law,
Bawal na yan.
yung
Yeah.
pumatay diyan, dapat nakulong. Yon, walang dispute doon, walang problema doon. Tapos syempre, kapag may nahuli, hindi naman talaga dapat patayin yan, idaan sa proseso. Due process, file a case in court, tas dismiss, kung madi-dismiss o hindi. Ang problema kasi, maraming nadi-dismiss din kasi na kaso in relation to drugs because it's very difficult to prove. Lalong-lalo na maraming marunong din yung mga tao, tapos syempre, if they are in business for a very long time already, the biggest sharks, the biggest fishes are the hardest to catch. Kaya nga lumaki sila lang ganyan eh. Kung tatanga-tanga sila, maliit pa lang yan, nahuli na. Di ba? So the biggest fish really are the hardest to catch because they're the smartest. Sila yung pinakaalam kung ano yung ginagawa nila. Ngayon, nung lumabas yun, natakot. So, yun yung parang yun yung parang plus niya. Pero of course, extrajudicial killings still, if it happens, or it was, if there were extrajudicial killings, they should go to jail.
Okay. Magandang usapan yan kasi maraming layers dito, no? So, yung isang layer dito is unang-una yung tanong, saan galing yung listahan ni Digong, di ba? So, marami nag-question whether itong listahan was vetted by yung mga relevant agencies. And marami tayong mga reports na sinasabi na yung mga relevant agencies themselves ay hindi nila alam saan galing yung listahan ni Digong. And now, that's very important because yung listahan na yan ay basihan ng mga operasyon and basihan ng potentially even extrajudicial activities, no? Or at the very least, nag-create siya ng stigma sa ibang politikos, no? In the worst way possible, no? So kung manood kayo, for instance, yung documentary na Delikado, yung mayor, for instance, ng El Nido ay parang natag, no? Dun sa drug list, although ang contention nila is nakalaban nila yung mga aliado ni Digong sa Palawan. So this was essentially used as a political leash, no? So there's that element, no? Yung first of all, saan galing datos? Kasi minsan sinasabi ni Presidente Digong 3 million, minsan 4 million, minsan hindi namin 1 million. So for me, from a public policy standpoint, at nakausap din natin yung father-in-law mo dyan, is evidence-based dapat yung public policy. So speaking of evidence-based, first of all, dapat siguraduhin na yung saan galing datos. And para sa akin, hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin masyado clear sa akin. No? I'm getting a lot of contradictory statements on that. Pangalawa, naintindihan ko na sa konteksto ng Davao, si Pangulong Digong, kilalang-kilala niya yung mga tao doon. Especially yung mga pulis, no? Kapulisan, nakilala niya yung pamilya na. Pag Christmas, pupunta sa bahay nila. Si Bato, nung head ng Davao dati, kilalang-kilala niya. Ang tanong naman is, doon sa national level, handa ba or nagkaroon ba ng sapat na preparasyon? Or was there enough of cleaning to make sure na, kasi alam natin may mga scalawags talaga dyan, aminado naman yung mga presidente natin, before they were unleashed on the streets, no? The third layer ay ganito. Yung third layer naman is, okay, granted na may fear factor, which is what you were implying, you were saying actually, arguing, gaano ka-sustainable yan? Because if you're just gonna scare away the hyenas for 3 days, 3 years, but they're gonna come back in 4 to 5 years, you're not really solving the problem, right? Parang it's just showmanship or stopgap measure. And the fourth level of analysis, so you could see na inisip ko na malaliman tong issue na to. At nakausap ko maraming tao, including diehard Duterte supporters like yung best friend natin si Banat Bay, di ba? The fourth layer naman is, okay, may mga namatay na allegedly mga drug lords. Pero katulad ng sinabi mo, I mean, saan yung talagang big fish, di ba? We're not gonna name names, pero one of them was supposedly Malacanang. May picture pa sila Digo. Next thing yun, wala na siya sa eksena. And number 5, in fact, na-interview ko si Prime Minister Mahathir, no, when he was here in 2019, at nakausap ko siya sa issue ng drug na. And Prime Minister Mahathir said, the drug problem is an external problem. He didn't say China, but you could guess where he was saying. So, kung talagang gusto mong, you wanna interdict, you have to do it really at the level of Coast Guard, Customs. There has to be international approach, hindi lang yung local level lang. So, for me, yun yung concern ko na I understand. I think wala naman sa atin nagsasabi na baliwala natin itong issue ng criminality at droga. In fact, nakausap po natin dito sa podcast natin si Secretary Llamas na dating Political Affairs Secretary ni Aquino, and pati siya, aminado siya na isa sa mga weaknesses ni Pinoy was that medyo hindi pinabayaan yung issue ng law and order, or at least they were seen as being soft on that issue. So yun yung ano ko yun yung entry point ko, and the reason I talk to is because what's fundamentally at stake here is a constitutional democracy and the rule of law, 'di ba? Kasi hindi naman rule of law yung basta kung sinong presidente, kung anong interpretation niya, let it be, 'di ba? Regardless of what court says, whatever standard interpretation of the law says. And for me, what we saw was more like rule by law. Parang almost Chinese style, 'di ba? Yung parang anti-corruption ni Xi Jinping. Okay, pumasok kayo sa isang room, 10 yung corrupt, yung 4 kaibigan ko, unahin ko muna yung kabila, di ba? I mean, it was a very politicized kind of approach, and yun yung accusation. So lahat naman tayo anti-drugs dito. Ayaw natin ng droga, we want approach. Pero ang tanong was the Duterte approach inevitable, or was the conduct of the war on drugs under Duterte inevitable? Or perhaps we could have done some adjustments, tactical adjustments, or strategic adjustments? Because I think it's an ongoing debate which we could have, because I think in principle lahat naman tayo nag-agree na may problema talaga. Ang tanong is, what's the best solution? Because if the medicine is gonna kill the patient, then you're not a very good doctor, right? So that's where I'm coming from, Kapsat, no? Yeah.
Ang ano ko lang, ang take ko lang doon, well, it was inevitable nung na-elect na siya. Kasi people want that kind of leadership eh. Bago pa naman siya tumakbo noon, nagmumura na siya, nagbabanta na siya, ginagawa niya na lahat yon. So nung nanalo siya, ibig sabihin, the people wants that kind of leadership. Pero ang tanong dyan, were they parang is that really what they wanted? Eventually, nung nandoon na, parang, wait, sandali, parang mali yata yung, may mga ganun eh. Many people, sabi nila, this is what we want. Siyempre, yung part ng many people, this is not what we wanted. Meron din yung iba na, well, sandali, parang sumasobra na. So, it's really inevitable kasi nga, siya yun eh. Kunwari, kumbaga, tinuloy niya lang kung ano yung nagustuhan ng mga tao sa kanya. Right. Ngayon, yung tungkol sa listahan, I was against it from the very beginning. Kasi nga, well, that will create a lot of problems with the people who were mentioned doon sa listahan na yon. And ang problema kasi dyan, yung listahan na yon, obviously, hindi naman dumaan sa due process. And I guess we are all for due process. Siyempre, ang magsasabi lang naman na ikaw ay nagpo-promote ng droga o kaya nagpipenta ka ng droga, yung korte. Patunayan mo doon. Nung linabas niya yung listahan na yun, tapos binasa niya pa, I was really against it. Pati yung pagmumura niya, I'm also against it. Kasi nga, syempre, I believe that statespersons should still parang project at least, di ba, a good image na pag nakita rin ng ibang bansa, uy, gusto kong kausapin ito. Parang ganun. Kaya lang, like I said, well, the Philippines wanted it. And if someone sits there in that particular position, ang akin lang, I will actually support them because they're my president already. Pero, syempre, I will not 100% naman support them even doon sa hindi magandang ginagawa nila. So I was also critical doon sa mga hindi magandang ginagawa niya. The problem also here dito sa politics din dito sa Pilipinas, ang isang malaking problema rin kasi diyan. Many politicians really want to, parang they look forward to the next election. Kaya ang mangyayari diyan, kung sino yung pinakamaraming boto, didikit ka doon.
Yeah.
Para next election makikita nila yung mga sumuporta sa taong ito, baka magkaroon ng suporta din sa akin galing sa kanya.
Right. So
parang ganun yung nangyayari. So
parang bandwagoning.
Yeah, bandwagoning. Tapos in essence, ang ginagawa na lang nila they just go to parang they just parang praise o kaya
Yeah.
nakikipaghalubilo na lang sila dun sa mga politikong malalakas because they don't need to perform anymore. What
Right.
they would need to do only is to get elected.
Right.
Kasi habang nananalo naman ako, kahit wala naman akong ginagawa, so what's the point of even working? Di ba? Makikipagsosyalan na lang ako, tapos pag may sinabi ito, sasabihin ko na rin para solve na yung susunod na election ko. Yun ang malaking problema yun.
So, Kapsat, so you're ambivalent about this? I mean, that's the sense I get, that you're ambivalent. Like, parang your hammer is not coming down on one side. What you're saying is that what happened, and there are many reasons for it, and we still have to properly understand and deconstruct what's happening. Is that a correct reading na medyo ambivalent ka dito sa legacy ni
Well,
Digong?
actually not. It's just a matter of what's right and what is wrong. Siyempre, kapag meron namang administrasyon na umupo, my position is, it's not all masama. Kasi nga, siyempre,
of course.
may ginagawa rin yung mga yan. They are also working.
Ako naman,
Tapos,
Kapsat, I mean, to be fair to President Duterte, sorry for cutting you, I think tama siya doon sa Bangsamoro. I call that his finest hour. So, I give credit where credit due. I think ang ganda ng effect. Pumunta ako sa Mindanao, pumunta ako sa even Marawi noong 2019. Nakausap po natin yung mga tao on the grounds. In fairness, on many levels, things improved naman, diba? And now, we see the countries moving in the right direction. I think tama rin siya in terms of raising some very good questions in terms of, etong US ba, reliable ba? Do we get what we deserve? So even if sa foreign policy, I have many disagreements with President Duterte, I think he raised some very, very good questions. The reason why I'm raising the Duterte legacy issues, because of course, this brings us inevitably to Tulfo, no? To Tulfos. But before we go there, no, I wanted to ask you because andun yung batas, andun yung saligang batas, andun yung ideals ng rule of law. At the same time, andito yung katotohanan, no? Yung broken institutions na meron tayo. Yung agwat, no? Ang laki kasi ng gap eh. So minsan, I think that makes a mockery out of our justice system, di ba? Na ang layo, di ba? I mean, just the numbers are crazy, no? Like 60% pre-trial detainees, second or third largest congestion of prison systems, one of the lowest per capita budgets, and one of the highest ratios of a single judge, like 744 cases. Like I look at all the numbers, no, from a public policy standpoint. It's a difficult, if not a broken, justice system. Kaya here I'm gonna argue against myself and say, naintindihan ko rin saan galing iba kasi nawawalan sila ng pag-asa, nawawalan sila ng kumpiyansa dito sa sistema natin kasi justice delayed is justice denied, and yung delay sa Pilipinas, next level delay, di ba? Na grabe. So, naintindihan ko na in a way, yung situation ni Digong, his vigilante justice, if I can put it that way, or penal populism, whatever, was a kind of a lightning strike, no? Na parang wait lang, etong status ko ay hindi sustainable. Kaya nga sabi ko siguro ngayon, we can talk about yung Digong legacy because we have to pick up the pieces and realize how to move forward. Now, ikaw bilang isang tao na involved on the ground, you see the courts. I mean, tignan mo naman yung mga courts natin. I mean, no offense, di ba? I mean, you and I have seen the Supreme Courts in the US and other countries. Like, yung like just the majesty of the building, diba? Matches yung majesty of the aspirations. Now, no offense, nakapunta tayo sa mga korte dito sa Pilipinas, like, ang